The Goose Shepherd. Once upon a time, in a forgotten corner of the world, long ago, there lived an old woman deep within an ancient forest. Her small cottage was hidden among towering trees and colorful wildflowers. Birds chirped sweetly, and the wind carried the scent of pine and berries. She wasn't lonely, for she lived with a cheerful flock of geese. Every day, she wandered through the woods, collecting soft green grasses for her geese and picking juicy wild berries for herself. One sunny morning, as the mist still hugged the ground, a young man passed through the forest. He was tall, strong, and handsome, with eyes like the morning sky. His clothes were fine and clean, for he was the son of a wealthy nobleman. As he strolled through the woods, he noticed the old woman struggling to carry a large bundle of grass on her back. "Let me help you, kind lady," he said gently. The woman smiled and nodded. "Thank you, kind soul." The young man took the bundle and followed her through the winding forest paths. By the time they reached her cottage, he was quite tired. Sitting nearby was a goose shepherd girl. She wore ragged clothes, her hair was wild, and her face was smudged with dust. To others, she may have seemed plain, even strange, but her eyes were filled with a mysterious glow. The old woman, afraid that the girl might fall in love with the charming young man, kept them from speaking to each other. She quickly invited the guest to sit and offered him sweet forest treats, honeyed fruits, and chilled apple juice. After a lovely rest and kind conversation, the young man stood up. "I must go now," he said. Before he left, the old woman handed him a small green box made of shimmering emerald. "Take this," she whispered. "It will bring you luck." As soon as the young man touched the box, he felt a strange warmth flow through him. His tiredness vanished, and his heart felt light. He thanked the woman with a deep bow and left, never once glancing back at the goose girl. Even after walking far, he could still hear the honking of the geese echoing through the trees. But as he continued, the woods seemed to twist and turn. He walked and walked, but the path never led him out. He had lost his way. For 3 long days and nights, the young man wandered the forest. The stars were his only companions, and the sound of rustling leaves his only music. At last, on the 4th day, he stumbled upon a road that led to a great town. There stood a royal castle, guarded by shining knights. Since no one in the town knew who he was, they sent him to the castle to speak with the king and queen. He entered the grand throne room. The king sat tall and proud, and beside him sat a queen with kind but sorrowful eyes. The young man stepped forward and bowed. With both hands, he offered the emerald box. As soon as the queen saw it, she gasped. Tears streamed down her cheeks, and her face turned pale. She sat frozen, like a statue carved from ice. The guards rushed forward and grabbed the young man, thinking he had done something wrong. But suddenly, the queen blinked and raised her hand. "Stop," she said. "Let him go." Everyone left the room. Only the queen and the young man remained. She looked into his eyes and spoke softly. "Long ago, the king asked our daughters how much they loved him. The eldest said, 'Father, I love you as sweetly as sugar.' The middle daughter said, 'I love you more than honey.' But the youngest, she said, 'Father, I love you like salt.'" The queen paused, her voice trembling. The king was furious. He thought her words meant she didn't love him. In anger, he gave her only a sack of salt and sent her away. Later, he wept with regret, but it was too late. We never saw her again. She reached out and touched the emerald box. "The pearl inside this box. It reminds me of the tears my daughter once cried. Please, tell me where you found it." The young man told her everything about the forest, the old woman, the cottage, and the girl who cared for the geese. Hope lit up in the queen's eyes. At once, she and the king prepared to leave for the forest with the young man as their guide. But the journey through the woods was not easy. As night fell, the shadows grew deep, and the young man became separated from the royal couple. He wandered down a different path, lit only by moonlight, until he came upon a quiet clearing. There, near a stone well, stood the Goose Girl. She did not notice him at first. She removed her ragged coat, and as she stepped into the well to bathe, the moonlight revealed her true beauty. Her hair shimmered like silver, and her skin glowed like the dawn. The young man stood in awe. Suddenly, the girl saw him. Startled, she quickly dressed in her old clothes and ran back to the cottage. Breathless, she told the old woman what had happened. "I already know," said the woman calmly. "Now go, dress in your finest silk gown, and wait in the next room." Back on the path, the young man reunited with the king and queen. Together, they arrived at the old cottage. The door creaked open. The old woman looked at them kindly. "If you had not sent your innocent daughter away," she said softly, "you would not have needed to travel all this way. But sorrow has been your teacher." Then she called into the cottage, "My dear, come inside." The girl entered the room. She wore a gown of silver silk, and her eyes sparkled like stars. The queen gasped. The king fell to his knees. It was their daughter, the girl they had lost. Tears filled the room. The young man stood silently, his heart beating wildly. The girl looked at him and blushed, unsure of why her heart felt so light. "My child," said the king, "I gave your kingdom to your sisters. I have nothing left for you." But the old woman stepped forward. "She needs nothing from you," she said. "I will give her the pearls that fell from her eyes when she wept alone in the forest. And I will give her this home, which she has cared for so kindly." And with that, the woman vanished into a swirl of wind and mist. "She was a fairy," whispered the queen, "a kind and wise one." Suddenly, the walls of the cottage began to tremble. Light burst from the roof, and before their eyes, the humble home transformed into a shining palace. The king and queen embraced their daughter, and soon after, the young man and the Goose Girl, no longer in rags, were married in the magical palace. Music filled the air, laughter echoed through the forest, and from that day on they lived together in joy, surrounded by peace and love. Moral of the story: never act without understanding. Sometimes, what seems small or strange can hold the greatest truth of all.